Holistic organizing. What is it? We'll find out today on Keeping You Organized. Today on Keeping You Organized, we have Annie Rohrbach coming to us from California, and we're going to talk about holistic organizing as part of our Countdown to NAPO series. Annie, welcome today to Keeping You Organized.
Thank you. It's a pleasure and an honor to be here.
Okay, well, let's get into talk about NAPO real quick here, and what your topic is, and what's the talk all about?
The talk is called Clearing Mental Clutter Makes Organizing Easier. And what I mean by that is if we can help our clients and ourselves be more conscious of and identify our mental clutter, what's going on and that's filling up our mind with all its busyness. If we can identify that and learn to clear it out, then our mind is clearer. And when our mind is clear, it's easier to make decisions, because getting organized and simplifying is about making decisions. What is it? Where do I want to keep it? Where does it go? How do I find it again? It's all about decision making. So like I say, if we can identify and clear the mental clutter first, then it's much easier to clear the physical clutter in our home, in our office, and actually in our whole life. And it's more likely when we do this more consciously that we will stay clutter-free. And that's my goal for people.
Okay, well, so you're using the term "if we can," so we must be able to. So do you have a couple steps, or do you have this in a process that you use with people that you can kind of say, here's how we can?
Well, part of it is because mental clutter is not only all the information that we get from conversations, from the media, from all the things that go on. It's our to-do lists, our mental, I've got to do this, I can't forget to do this, I should have done that. And probably the most important mental clutter that I like to work with is the mental things the things we say to ourselves, the thoughts we have and the words that we use that self-sabotage us. Because if we keep, for example, if we keep telling ourselves that we'll never get organized, we're probably never going to get organized. And if we catch ourselves when we say that and change those words to "I am getting organized," for example, or "I'm such a slob," I'm learning how to put things away. I don't have enough time. I'm taking time to create the order that I desire. So there's a lot of monitoring of thoughts which are reflected in the words that we say.
Okay, so when you're working with a client, then do you take and maybe write down or have a conversation with them and say, here's what you're saying, or what are you saying, and maybe you write down those negative statements? How do you get those from the client?
Well, I listen and I pay attention a lot, but actually what I do first, because there's so much emphasis in our society and our culture and within ourselves on what isn't working, I like to start with what is not only what is working, there's something that's in order. They remembered the appointment that we had, so their calendar might be in order. But the other part of this is I really believe, and this is another part of my holistic approach, that if we can find qualities of life that resonate with us, that have a meaning to us, whether it's balance or peace of mind or freedom or something like that, and we start keeping those words in mind, is kind of like keeping the end in mind. Mm-hmm. One of my teachers, Michael Beckwith, who you may have heard of or not, he was in The Secret. He says the pain, the frustration, the overwhelm, the shame, the stress pushes us until the vision pulls us. Mm-hmm. So if we have a vision, and I work with my clients with vision boards, and I create a mind map. So if your home or your office was in perfect order, how would you feel in this space? How would you feel when you looked at it? And we capture words, whether it's beauty, freedom, light, unburdened, comfortable, cozy, welcoming, clutter-free. I let them pick the words that resonate with them, and that kind of drives them, because they realize that that's a possibility. I give them hope. I give them possibilities. Anything is possible if we set our mind to it. So a lot of, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say it. So you're really defining it, right? You're giving them that picture that they can speak out and illustrate if it's in the case of pictures, right?
Yeah, and I consider myself a facilitator. I ask questions to help them find the answers that are within themselves. I don't put words in. I can make suggestions, but I want to make sure that they pick words that resonate with them. So then, when they're going through their things and they hesitate about something, there's sort of the yes and no and probably lots of maybes. Is this in alignment with my desire to have more balance in my life? Is this in alignment with my desire for greater peace of mind? So it kind of there's a way to perpetuate what we want to create. And what I believe is that what we focus on gets energized. So if we focus on the order, we're more likely to have more order. If we focus on the clutter is more likely to stay stuck.
Okay, well let's take and maybe put a face on this then, without using names. Maybe someone you've worked with in the last couple months. What was their negative statement that you identified, and how did you help them visualize it or get that picture of what it was going to look like? And what was the flip side? What was the positive statement that you had them latch onto?
Okay, I had a client who had moved into a house about a year ago, and she didn't want to move there because she had this beautiful home with a beautiful view, and she was renting, and she was forced to move out, and she wouldn't unpack. She couldn't get feeling at home. It was too hard to even look in the boxes, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So I asked her because I noticed that she had some beautiful artwork. She had some beautiful collections, and she had arranged them very nicely. So as we were going through her house, I was like, I love the way you arranged this, or these are beautiful, or whatever. So I began to just point out to her some of the things, because she kept telling herself, I don't want to be here. It's not fun, and I can't get over this. And we captured some of those. She wanted beautiful, welcoming, cozy, artistic. These were some of the words. And so we started going through some of her boxes, and within 4 hours, we had unpacked all these things in her living room, and she realized that some of them she didn't have any interest in anymore because they weren't creating beauty for her. They weren't welcoming to her. They had bad memories for her. And by the end of 4 hours, with a break in between, she said, this is fun. I feel really good in this space. So it was a very, it's just, she was, one thing I like to say to people is if you haven't done something yet, it probably hasn't been the right timing, which can sound like a rationalization, but we have to be in the right frame of mind, whether we've been through traumatic experiences in our life, a death of somebody, a divorce, a loss, or a whole different change in career or retirement. All those transitions create a lot of stress. So I try to give people a little higher perspective of why they haven't cleared things yet, but I really encourage them. I'm a cheerleader, and I like to help them wherever they are, take them from wherever they are to wherever they want to go, one step at a time.
Right, and if you can take and make that picture real clear, that's going to make it a lot easier.
Right. Well, even in my classes, I do guided visualizations. We do mind maps. We do vision boards. All kinds of things are possible. It depends on the client.
Now, what would you say in a typical organizing situation? How much of it is this mental or holistic approach, and how much of it is just the actual, okay, we're going to put this here, we're going to find a place for this, we're going to throw this out? Is there a rough percentage of that preparatory work to the actual, getting it done?
My whole book is about doing the preparatory work. The whole first part of the book is about the inner clutter. The whole second half of the book is about the outer clutter. Mm-hmm. So, and from my point of view, it's probably more mental in the first a few sessions, but I always like to get action. I always like to at least clear one space and get them kind of using that as an affirmation space, as yes, I can do this, I can keep this clear, I can, so probably in the beginning 50-50, and then once we get started and we're monitoring I ask permission before I correct them or make suggestions. And probably one of my greatest hints about people's negativity is using the word should. So I get asked permission if I can point that out to them so they begin to self-monitor. Should comes from outside of us. But if we change should to could, I should get organized. Oh, I could get organized sounds more like an internal choice. So I watch so it's as we go along, it's maybe 10% of the mental and 80-90% of the actual doing. With my continuing to pay attention to their energy, to their stress, to their emotions, so I know when to take a break and what to do with that.
Well, and it seems like, too, then that they really need to own it. I mean, you could tell them something, but that's not going to have the same effect as them realizing it on their own and owning it.
Well, part of my work is helping people tune into their own guidance, their own wisdom, their own gut, their own whatever you want to call that intuition, so that they can come from their heart. So it works for them. There's no one way to get organized. There's no one way to do any of this. So it's guiding them through a process that's going to work for them, and where hopefully they've created some of the ideas. I don't have all the answers. I can just ask questions.
That's right. Well, listen, earlier you said a word, holistic, and I want to get back to that. We're going to take a real quick break here, and when we come back, I want to just kind of unpack that whole idea of holistic organizing, and then also talk a little bit about your book as well. It's our Countdown to NAPO with Annie Rohrbach, and we'll be right back. Looking for a file folder that can go the distance? Try new Flexi Folder from Smead, the heavyweight folder with movable and erasable tabs. You'll find yourself using them again and again and again. The Smead Flexi Folder is made of durable 14-point stock that stands up to wear and tear. The folder also features an extra wide 1/3 cut movable and erasable tab. This tab allows you to write, move, and erase it with ease, so as your filing needs change, your folders don't have to. These tabs are simple to install by simply punching the tab out of the sheet, using a permanent marker to label your tab, and positioning wherever it's needed. Once a project is over, erase the tab with a standard white eraser, and you'll have a brand new folder. When it's time to rearrange that folder in the drawer, simply move the tab to a new position. Available in standard manila or bright primary colors, these heavy-duty folders will make a lasting impression on your file drawer. We're back now on Keeping You Organized with Annie Rohrbach from the San Francisco Bay Area, a professional organizer, also part of NAPO, and you're going to be speaking at NAPO coming up here in a few weeks. And let's get, before we were on that break, we talked about this word holistic. You'd mentioned it in one of your answers, and I want to kind of dig a little deeper into it. Do you have kind of a definition of what holistic organizing is?
I do, and it's actually, I would, with your permission, I'd like to read something, because when this whole started into it, a lot of us were getting the sense that there were a lot of like-minded organizers who wanted something more than just systems, and so we crafted a purpose and a description.
All right.
And I really would like to share it with you, because every time I read it, and it's at least once a month during our teleconferences, it just thrills me, because it just really says what we are.
Okay.
So the summary and purpose of the holistic organizers is to connect with and provide support, inspiration, resources, and growth opportunities for like-minded professional organizers who want to share and explore spiritual and holistic practices or techniques that we can use in our lives and with our clients. And then the description is, going beyond basic organizing systems and techniques, holistic organizers advocate an evolving paradigm for professional organizing that includes a compassionate, heart-centered approach and integrates spiritual and holistic principles and practices however each one of us chooses to define them. So it's very broad. We choose the word holistic because it focuses on and respects all aspects of a client's life: physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual. Our approach is not rooted in any particular spiritual or religious tradition and honors all paths. We consider our work as sacred and know it is possible to transform lives with the work that we do in the world. And that says it all.
that does say it all. Now, you helped co-found the Holistic Organizers Group in was 2009?
Yes, at the Orlando National Conference with Erin Elizabeth Wells, and I kind of co-founded it, and then some of us worked together to decide how to set this up. And so I facilitate monthly teleconferences, and we have guest facilitators as well.
And how many members are involved right now in that?
We're at about 475 right now, and so a lot of them tune into the LinkedIn group, or join the LinkedIn group, and then we have these monthly teleconferences that they can either listen to or take part in, interact with live, or they can listen to it afterwards, or they can read a summary of it afterwards. So a lot of people are able to access the information that's shared with all of these different people who talk about a lot of different topics.
So do you have certain criteria for someone to join? I mean, do they have to have been an organizer for a certain number of years, or do they even have to be I mean, I would think they'd want to be a professional organizer, but what kind of guidelines do you have for people for joining?
Well, there's the only thing is that they need to be in some kind of organizing business, because there's a lot of other holistic practitioners, massage therapists, and I can't even think of all the chiropractors and things like that who want to join, but it's really for organizers.
Okay.
So and that, I guess, in that same realm is feng shui specialists, space clearing specialists, coaches who work with people who are getting organized. But it's they don't necessarily have to be a member of NAPO, but most of them are.
Okay. Now, you also wrote a book called Conscious Order, Clear Your Mind, Leave Your Clutter Behind. And yes. I bet some of these concepts are in that book, aren't they?
All of these materials come from my almost 27 years of working with clients, as well as a class that I developed in 1999 and started teaching called Letting Go and Lightening Up in Your Mind, Your Home, Your Office, and Your Life. And then out of those classes, evolved this book, which is, I'm very proud of it. It's very user friendly. It has lots of quotes and highlights on the margins and lots of white space, and kind of tells you, once you get, if you can take the time to identify and clear out the mental clutter, then it has tips through the whole last part of the book is about the outer clutter. So it has tips about how to do every room in your house, how to make those decisions, asking key questions about your things in your home, your papers, and even things like your time management and your self-care and things like that. So it's very complete.
Well, a lot of people who listen and watch this show love tips. Do you think you could pull a few from memory right out of the book? Doesn't matter which room or what area of organizing, but maybe a couple of tips that people could use today?
One of my favorite things, if there was nothing else that anybody ever did, especially if their horizontal spaces are likely to be filled with clutter, is to take one small space that you see often, whether it's in the front hall or the bedroom dresser or the bedroom floor or the kitchen table or something, or the kitchen counter, and just clear it of everything. Don't worry about where that stuff goes in this minute, but just clear it, because it becomes a space where it becomes sort of a yes I can affirmation space, and you commit to keeping that space clear. And what happens is that once you clear one space and you realize how wonderful it feels to have that space clutter free, that kind of shifts the energy, and then you want to clear another space and another space, whether it's a drawer or a shelf or something. So that's one of my favorite things for people to do. I really also would suggest that you pay attention to what you're saying to yourself, especially the shoulds, I'll never get organized, I just can't do so. One of my favorites is, it's just too hard to let go of anything. Mm-hmm. Well, as long as you keep telling yourself it's too hard, it's going to be too hard. And my book has lots of tips about how to make that easier.
Is there an affirmation or a statement that you would say instead of that? You just say it's easy to get rid of things, or?
It's getting easier to let go of things, because if you can say it's easy, but that, for some people, that seems a little too extreme, a little too black and white. Mm-hmm. So, but they're also paying attention to what you say after the words "I am" is very powerful. I am getting organized sounds much more uplifting and is going to move you forward much more than I am never going to get organized. Even just experience the I'm never going to get organized sounds so hopeless, and I am getting organized. Even if you don't quite believe it yet, mm-hmm. the more you get into the brain research. There's a lot of information in my book about how the brain works, and we now know it's very plastic, and those neural pathways that have been wired together so long can get unwired if we start a new pathway and a new train of thought and a new way of thinking about ourselves and our clutter.
Well, and I think that really kind of validates the whole holistic approach. You've got if you can deal with the mental piece of it, overcome that, the physical piece of it really just goes right in.
Exactly. It just makes it, and when you do things more mindfully and you're aware of how this works, then you're more likely to want to keep it that way or get it back that way pretty quickly. Everybody, no matter how organized they are, sometimes gets backed up with things. So you just have to monitor your mind and monitor, it's sort of that yes I can attitude. I can sounds a lot better than I can't.
Right.
So,
well, let's talk about your personal routine. Do you have a morning ritual, or how do you stay organized just for your own business and personal stuff?
well, one of the things that I do, because I don't want any clutter in my mind, and it's always coming in, is that I write everything down. David Allen, in his book Getting Things Done, said, we only have so much RAM in our heads.
Mm-hmm.
So if we can get things down either electronically or in writing, I have a master to-do list, and every week I kind of look at the week ahead and what my appointments are, and then decide what I'm going to be doing each day. And I operate a lot on due dates. I don't like to say deadlines anymore, target dates,
Mm-hmm.
because that helps me get things done that are timely. I'm leaving on a vacation in a little while and need to get certain things lined up before. So I have that all written down. I don't keep anything in my head. I have Post-it notes in the car. I have Post-it notes next to my bed. Those can become overwhelming if you have too many of them. But if you can learn to process them right away. I do have a monthly calendar in my purse. It's small, that I keep all my appointments on, and then I also prefer to do things that I'm very tactile and very kinesthetic and very visual. So I prefer to write things down. Even if I don't look at it again, I can still remember it. So.
Well, listen, we're just about out of time here. I want to just give you the opportunity to tell people about what kind of work. I mean, do you work virtually? Obviously, you do the teleconferences and things. How can people reach out to you? What's your website? Just give us a quick thumbnail of what kind of work you're doing and how people can get a hold of you.
Thank you very much. My name again is Annie Rohrbach, Rohrbach. I reside in San Jose, California, and part of the San Francisco Bay Area. I do have a website, which is www.consciousorder.com, CONSCIOUS order.com. I do work one-on-one, and I can work all over the country. I kind of work where my kids and grandchildren are, or where I've lived in the past. But I'm beginning to do more one-on-one virtually, and I'm just beginning that practice. But I've gave a workshop in Las Vegas, and the lady couldn't be there, and she said, "Can we work one-on-one together?" And I'm wanting to do that. My bottom line is I want people to be happy. I want them to feel good about themselves and their surroundings. I want them to have greater peace of mind. I want their life to work. So I want to reach out to more people. My book has a lot of information, and a lot of organizers buy my book and use it as a resource and they're beginning to use some of the tips and tools and techniques about how to clear out the clutter in your mind and how to get in the right frame of mind to do the sorting and organizing and simplifying. So you can also email me at annie@consciousorder.com. And I'd love to hear from people. I'm beginning to establish an online community. I do have a free e-zine and email newsletter. You can sign up on my website for that. And there's quite a few free things as a guided visualization on my website that will help you kind of get in the space of what you really want and kind of take that vision that will pull you in and motivate you to move forward and create more order in your life.
Well, that is awesome. We're going to link to those things in our show notes for people who didn't quite get the website and the book title. And Annie, I just want to thank you for the time today, and good luck at NAPO coming up and your presentation there. And we hope to talk to you again soon.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate Smead reaching out to all of the organizers and getting our profession out there, getting our work out there. We do make a difference, and we're happy to work with those who need assistance.
All right.
Thank you so much.
You bet. It's Annie Rohrbach from ConsciousOrder.com today on Keeping You Organized.